You have a photo of yourself blowing out 3 candles on a cake, wearing a paper hat, grinning like you just discovered fire. You have zero memory of this. None. You also have no memory of the diaper incident your mother still brings up at dinner parties, with sound effects. Somewhere out there is footage of you eating sand and looking proud of it. Gone. All of it. The normal explanation is that you were just too young. The real answer is far stranger and honestly a little bit funny. Here's the reframe. Your brain wasn't malfunctioning when you were 2. It was under construction. And construction sites are messy. Sigmund Freud was the first to give this a name, back in the early 1900s. He called it infantile amnesia, the strange wall almost every adult hits somewhere around age 3 or 4, before which there's just fog. Freud's explanation involved repressed desires and things you really don't want animated in marker doodle form. But later researchers found something far more interesting hiding underneath. In the 1980s, a psychologist named Carolyn Rovey Collier ran a deceptively simple experiment. She tied a ribbon from a baby's ankle to a mobile hanging overhead. Kick your leg, the mobile spins. Babies as young as 2 or 3 months figured this out fast. Weeks later, she brought the same babies back, hooked them up again, and they immediately started kicking. They remembered. So babies do form memories. Real ones. The problem isn't storage, it's retrieval, later in life, as an adult trying to access a file from a folder that's been quietly renamed, reorganized, and partially shredded. So why can't you get back in? This is where it gets a little absurd, in the best way. Your brain, in those first few years, is busy doing something most of your other organs never have to do again. Building new real estate. The hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for filing memories away for the long haul, is still growing new neurons at an explosive rate. Think of it less like a librarian calmly shelving books, and more like a librarian renovating the library while somehow also trying to read it. A researcher named Paul Franklin, working with his colleague Sheena Jocelyn, tested this directly, using mice instead of toddlers, which is a relief for everyone involved. They found that boosting the rate of new neuron growth in young mice didn't just fail to help memory. It actively erased older memories the mice had already formed. New brain cells were quite literally crowding out the wiring of the old ones. The same explosive neuron growth that makes early childhood the most important learning period of your entire life is also the reason none of it gets filed away properly. It's a strange trade. You got the fastest growing brain you will ever have. In exchange, that brain ate its own early paperwork. There's also a second piece to this, and it's a quieter one. Patricia Bauer, who has spent decades studying how children build memory over time, found that the skill of stringing events into a coherent personal timeline, this happened, then that happened, develops gradually, well past toddlerhood. A 2-year-old can remember a moment. What a 2-year-old struggles with is filing that moment under a date, a place, this was the time I cried at the petting zoo because the goat looked at me wrong. Without that timeline structure, memories don't disappear so much as float, unanchored, easy to lose. So picture your toddler brain as a brand new restaurant on opening night. The kitchen is fully staffed, the food is genuinely incredible, but nobody's installed a system for taking orders or keeping receipts yet. Things happened. Wonderful things, probably, but there's no ticket, no record, no way to prove any of it later. Here's the part that should make you feel something, possibly while laughing slightly at yourself. This isn't just a toddler problem. You've walked into a room and forgotten why you walked in. You've had a great conversation at a party and lost half of it by the next morning. Your hippocampus, even now, is constantly choosing what gets filed and what gets quietly recycled. Because if it saved everything, every smell, every hallway, every forgettable Tuesday, you'd be buried under your own memories within a week. Forgetting isn't your brain failing you. It's your brain doing its job. The same job it was doing back when you were small enough to eat sand and call it lunch. So that photo of you and the paper hat. You'll never get that memory back. The library was still being built when it happened, and the librarian, bless her, was a little overwhelmed. But somewhere in there, your brain was already practicing the only trick it would ever need. Not remembering everything, Just enough.